What's up, everybody? Woo, 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 woo. Happy 2022, everybody, and welcome to the new look of the Guided Life. We have so many cool things to bring you this year. Before we get into what tonight's really all about, I got to give a couple big shout outs. First and foremost to Fix Productions for designing the new set, for designing the new website. Hopefully a lot of you are finding tgltv.com, finding it over there. Remember, if you're following us along on social medias, please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But right around that 15-minute mark of today's podcast, we're actually going to cut it on our socials and bring it right over to tgltv.com, so you have to follow along over there. The other thing, too, is, again, thank you so much to The Real Shot. They've been so supportive and so great through all of this. Help them, help me by going over to therealshot.com, checking them out, stop in store. A lot of great ice fishing stuff going on all the time at The Real Shot right now, especially. So tonight's show, we are here. We are three guys. We're going to talk about our 2021 deer seasons. And yes, that means deer season is over with. And we are really sad that that happened. So joining me tonight, we got Judd Hodgen. You've seen Judd. He was a part of the Pheasants by the Fox episode where Travis and I, so that's Travis over there. You recognize that guy too. We actually went pheasant hunting with you. We had a great time. Tried to shoot a couple birds at the recurve. That didn't pan out.
It's a challenge.
So these guys are going to join me, and the reason I asked these two guys in here is because I feel like the three of us kind of bring a whole nother look to kind of whitetail hunting. And what I mean is we got Travis, who does a lot of public land hunting, you know, in the central portion of the state, and then you even go out of state to a couple different public land spots there as well.
Yeah, Missouri, and then this year went back to Georgia for the first time in a long time.
Yep. And then Judd and I are private land, you know, owners and hunters for the most part as well. So, you know, the things that Travis can talk about, you know, Judd and I, we hunt public land too, but for the most part, we're managing our own ground. Where you have some different insights, Travis, on the way, you know, you look at things compared to the way we look at things. So what I want to do is I want to start out by kind of talking about the early seasons, the anticipation for the year. Guys, I mean, we wait, you know, it's like all of a sudden it ended, for most of the areas it ended yesterday, right? No, the 31st.
Yep.
The 31st is when deer seasons ended for most of our counties, and, you know, it just seemed like it started. So let me start with Travis. Okay, now this year, did you know that you were going to Missouri and then, or in Arkansas as well?
Georgia.
Or Georgia, I mean?
Yeah. Missouri, I've been going to every year except not last year, the year before when stuff happened. And it's a military base where I do a lot of my hunting, and that got shut down for everybody that was a civilian. So I didn't want to go by myself that year. So that was the one year I didn't go down there. But every year I plan to go there and usually go there.
And you go there. Yeah. So like, okay, with the out-of-state hunting like that, especially on public ground, and then you can relate this to like hunting around Wisconsin as well. Like, what kind of homework do you do when you are planning on hunting these public ground spots, whether it's in-state or out-of-state?
Missouri, it's a different situation. I don't have to do a lot of homework because I was in the military and I was stationed there for 4 years. So all the hunting I do in Missouri, I do off my background and what I know there. So there it's pretty much just getting my license, and military bases, we can get in that more later too. They come with their own unique challenges to be able to get licenses there. Yep. And be able to hunt and have access to the military base.
So, okay, so like you're basing a lot of it off of, you know, just your history of being there. But do you do like aerial map search or, you know, like Onyx or anything like that? Or then the other thing too is with all the cellular trail cameras nowadays, do you run anything like that in some of those spots? Do you go scout them out before the season?
In Missouri, recently I've been going with my dad, and we go down 3 days before season opens. And that's the scouting I do, is those 3 days. And those bases are broke down because it's an active duty military base. So each area is sectioned off, or there's areas on the map and they can either be closed or open. Some of them might be closed for 3 weeks straight. So you never know until the day you're getting ready to hunt if it's actually going to be open.
Really?
They post 3 days in advance. So you'll see one of the pictures of my dad's deer he got a couple years ago there, but this area is always closed during the week. And I woke up in the morning and looked and it happened to be open. I'm like, that's where we're going. Because we didn't get the chance to scout it. Most people, when you're there, don't hunt in certain areas because they haven't been able to get in there and they don't know what it's like. So my past experience of being there, I know those areas. So when they do open, I can go in at the last minute.
So like if you're going there, like if Judd and I were to go there, right? Like we're just kind of up to, with not having the knowledge. What I'm trying to say is, can you pre-scout these areas, but you're not going to know what's open anyways?
Yep, you're not going to know what's open when season comes around, but you can go into all these different areas and scout them before season.
Okay.
And there's a website, iSportsman, that every military post has iSportsman, and they're all combined. So if I'm signed up for Fort McCoy in Wisconsin through iSportsman, it transfers to Georgia at Fort Stewart or Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri.
Okay.
So you only have to sign up for one, but that will each post is a little different. It'll show you 3 days out. Some will show 5 days out if an area is open.
Okay.
But it can change at the last minute where it'll close.
And so, like, when you went to Georgia, that was the same kind of thing, right? You didn't know what areas were going to be open until you got down there?
Right. You have a ton of areas, though, there. That's roughly 250,000 acres.
Holy man. And that really is open to the public, though,
Yep.
right? And there's just some certain things you got to do to get on that ground.
Right. For all military bases, it's called iSportsman. And there will be a small test that you have to take. Some of them, each base has their own test. Some of them will be general rules for the military base, since they're a lot more in depth than any other public hunting you'd have.
There's no math involved, is there?
No, they can pretty. We're in. We could go.
Okay,
well, there could be. But it's just different tests, like unexploded ordnance that's on a lot of military bases. Just what do you do if you walk up on something and you're not sure what it is? It's just simple stuff to make sure you're aware of what you can encounter there.
Okay.
And then you purchase. Usually they're anywhere from $15 to $20, and that's a license just to be able to hunt on that post. And you still have to buy your state license.
Okay.
So
Nice. So there's a lot of, and this is why I thought it was so valuable that you'd be a part of this one, because that's all kinds of, that's sometimes insiders' insight too, that, I had no clue until Travis and I were together, on all the guided life trips. Like, he informed me of a lot of this stuff, and we tried to plan something to make it happen. It just didn't work out for last year, but we're going to show the viewers here some of the pictures. Obviously, the hard work and the knowledge that you have gained over the years is paying off, because you shot one of the biggest deer you've ever shot, right?
yeah, that was my biggest this year.
Okay, well, let's not get into that right away, but it's awesome. And the way Travis breaks down this ground, it's a totally different world. Not only in Missouri, right, but like the way the terrain sets up.
Right.
From what we're hunting around this area.
Yeah, Missouri. The best thing I compare Missouri to where I hunt is the Ozark Mountains there, which is probably the western part of the state, over Buffalo County and that.
Oh, yep. And we all know how that county is.
And going back to the military base, a lot of people see where I go hunting and some of the pictures, and they're like, "So anybody can hunt that?" Yeah.
But and you
they get scared away just by the few things you have to do.
Sure. Yep.
But
okay, so let's talk about scouting, Judd. So you obviously own some land. We don't have to get into specifics where it is, right? How many acres do you have access to right now?
140 of private.
140 of all private. And you've been able to hunt this land for how many years?
20, over 20.
Yeah, there's math involved. So this is the test, right?
Yeah.
But so if we talk about like what Travis's past knowledge is, you have 20 years of history on 140 acres that you hunt in this area. What has like the progression been from, like, if you can remember, from day one to where the hard work you've put into that 140 now?
So the property's fantastic as far as genetics, cover. There's always nice bucks there, right? When minerals were legal, we had some legit mineral sites.
Let's not get into that one. I think they should still be legal.
Yeah.
That's silly to me, but anyways.
But so year one, quality deer, but nothing, no tanks, right? Quality deer, good bedding, there's hardwoods, there's ag all around it, there's some CRP, there's water, kind of have what they want. But we put the minerals out and they really they were lacking, you know, in minerals, so they started hitting it. So go from year 1 to year 5, we had solid deer, but year 5 we had amazing monster deer.
And this is production ground as well.
Yes.
The majority of your farm is production.
Yep.
Yep. And has the crops, changing the crops, you know, giving a little bit more bedding compared to crop? How has that kind of evolved over the years?
Actually, it went the other way because we tiled and did some ditching, so we got rid of some bedding ground, which hurts. And you and I talk about that all the time. Now the areas I have that are high production, we kind of narrowed that in, and the low production ground, we're going to put into set aside or pollinator mix or just plain bedding to bring some of that back, because we have lost bedding ground on our ground, on our land that we own. We have lots of food, so they bed on the neighbors and they travel corridors to us, right? So the neighbors have excellent hunting, which is good for them. But usually deer are coming from neighboring properties to ours. So future plans are, we got to get some legit bedding, some thermal cover, keep them on our land.
Well, and a lot like we just talked with Travis, there is public land very near to your land as well.
Yep, and that was, say, 10 years in, and there was a big change there. And kudos to the public hunters. If you're proud of a deer, I'm proud that you shot it.
Yep.
I don't care if you shoot a spike or fork, 150, 180. If you're proud of it, you're going to hang it up and remember it, eat the meat, good for you. But in that process, some of the quality of deer and numbers have gone down, which that's probably part of the management.
We don't own them, right?
Yeah. They're everybody's deer. So good for those guys. And for the most part, they've been respectful of property lines. But it was a big change. You know, it went from production farm ground to bedding ground, native grasses for pheasants. So deer do bed in there. It's high pressured, so they get pushed out a lot. But that was a big change.
Well, and that also could benefit you though with all the pressure on the ground. You know, because that's Travis, when how do you deal with the public land like that and all the pressure and still be successful?
Each place is a little different. I think I've been talking to my dad and other people that hunt in Missouri, for example. Since there's a lot of training, like in Wisconsin, after the opening weekend of gun season, you guys feel like the deer movement just goes way down from the pressure just from opening weekend?
Oh yeah, 100%.
See, Missouri, it doesn't matter if it's day one or the last day of gun season. I don't notice a difference.
You're still noticing natural deer movement.
Right.
And how long is that gun season?
It's a Saturday to a Wednesday, I believe.
What's up with all the math here?
So you do have to do math.
You do have to do math, but either way. So I mean, it's a lot like the 9-day season here. I mean, there's pressure from the beginning to the end.
Right.
And
It doesn't affect the deer in Missouri. It does not.
That's
Do you not see the?
Well, on that military base, and I don't know if that's because there's people in the woods year-round training.
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of.
And they're probably used to.
Yeah, they're just used to the military
Gunshots.
being in the woods. It's got to be the reason. I don't know.
So when you're there, do you see the army of orange like we see in Wisconsin, or is it less pressure as far as people?
I don't know if public land hunters are lazy, but you'll hear people say that there's a ton of people that hunt Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, a ton of people. I've only seen one person in the woods since I've been hunting there.
Wow.
So you're really going in.
I do go, I mean, when my dad shot his, I walked him into a stand where he was going to go up. He's like, "You sure you want me to shoot anything back here?"
Yeah.
That's how far back it was. And I go up some pretty steep hills.
Well, if you're for referencing, it's like the bluffs of La Crosse area. That stuff. There's guys that hunt that area that say if a deer goes down there, it's impossible to get them out. I mean, they come up with the craziest thing to get these deer out. And speaking of that, so we're close to about that 15-minute mark. So if you want to continue on this conversation with us, please go over to tgltv.com because we got some impressive pictures of like Travis's deer, some encounters that Judd and I had this year coming up. So we're going to probably end the live stream here on their socials, but go over to tgltv.com and follow along over there. So, okay, so we're talking about, the pressure and how it can benefit you and how it can hurt you, right? But like the one thing too is I wanted to kind of fill people in on what, particularly your full-time job is, because you had mentioned something a little earlier, like the set aside or the warm season grasses. I mean, you're